I'm Mary, and thank you for joining us today. Joining me today is my special co-host, Tasha.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tasha Gaitan, and I am the Community Relations Director for Magnolia Court Assisted Living here in Vacaville.
We also are excited to welcome Melanie Richardson, owner of Helping Hands.
Hi, I'm Melanie Richardson. I've lived in Vacaville since 1983, raised all my kids, and now have 4 granddaughters here, and I'm just thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Melanie.
Welcome. Can you tell us about your business and the services you provide?
I would love to. So my business is called Helping Hands Senior Resources, and it is almost 28 years. It's 28-year labor of love. And we are an agency that works with families and seniors in the community to help them kind of figure out the state of the state and where they're at in their journey of senior care. And we are, we're just here to help them as they travel the journey and go through being at home and needing services, or then eventually needing other things that might be other tools to help them stay fit and healthy, but as independent as possible for as long as possible. And while we do help with transitions when they have to move out of home, really our primary role is to be an advocate and a navigator for both the senior and their families. Because, it's a hard thing. When things start to change, it's hard, and you just want somebody who understands the landscape and helps you be able to navigate it without pain, and sadness. So it's hard. It's a tough decision.
Sure. What sparked your passion for working with seniors and advocating for them?
Well, that's an interesting question. It was my own, like many of us, it was my own family who took this journey. And it was my mother-in-law at the time. My mother-in-law had Alzheimer's disease, and my father-in-law thought he had it. I got it. I got this. And then eventually he didn't have it. And that's when, the SOS came, and everybody, flew out because they lived in Florida. And he was lost in the sauce and didn't know what to do and where to start. And he was exhausted from being 3 fresh shifts of staff, not so fresh, and could not do it any longer. And so we went, and we didn't know anything about the continuum of care. We didn't know what they needed. I mean, we showed up there in a crisis, all the siblings, and showed up and didn't know what to do. So we did what most families did. We wandered into a building in Dad's neighborhood that looked like it had something to do with senior care. We didn't know. And it was one of the most, and it was one of the most beautiful independent livings. Now I know what it is. But it was definitely not what we needed. And that lady was so sweet to us, but it was the first time any of us had been exposed to that continuum of care. We didn't even know that existed. And so that lady thought she was really being helpful that day, and what she did was quickly figured out that we needed memory care. We didn't know what it was called or how to find it, and she thought she was helping, so she gave us a directory. And in Tampa Bay, Florida, that directory was this thick. And we didn't even know what stuff was called. We didn't know what the name of what we were looking for or anything. Because you know how it is. Yeah. Everybody says nursing home. We need a nursing home. And we probably said the same thing. So she gave us this directory. We were all exhausted. We went out to the parking lot. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. I remember feeling so overwhelmed and so out of control and helpless that we were just spinning in a circle. Lots of tears. And we were like, this doesn't feel like help. This book didn't feel like help. We didn't know the geography of where we were. We didn't know what kind of care we needed. So that day forever changed me. I thought, we are all really bright people. This shouldn't be so hard. There should be one place for people to go to say, this is my sad story. This is where we're at. Please tell me. I thought there should be a place to go to dump your story and get 3 things that would work, not 4,000 things that maybe will work. So we got through our crisis, but that feeling never left me. And when I came home, it changed my purview of everything. And, I'm a faith-based girl. I believe everything happens for a reason. Within weeks of coming home from solving our own problem, the sight sign went up for Magnolia Court.
Oh.
And it was actually Summerfield House at the time.
Yeah.
But as soon as the site sign went up, I went home to my husband. I was out on a walk, and I said, "You're not going to believe this, but one of those places like Balmoral is opening just down the street from the house." And I said, "The minute they have a trailer, I'm going in there." He's like, "Oh God." So that's what happened. So as soon as they had a trailer there, I marched my happy self in there. Edit that. And I was like, I know exactly what this is. Nobody's going to know what this is, but I do, and I'm here for it. So what I want to be involved in some way, shape, or form, I will, I'll answer phones. I will call bingo. I don't care what you need. I will do it. So they did. They eventually called me and said, "Hey, you want to come in for an interview?" And I was like, "Yeah." They said, "You're a little overqualified." I had been running construction. I had been in construction, running a family-owned construction company for many years, and then worked in other male-dominated industries, selling valves and pipe and fittings, and where I didn't belong, but did well. Because I was really good at bossing grown people, grown men around. So anyway, so they were like, "You seem a little overqualified to call bingo, but would you run our office?" And I was like, "Heck yeah!" And you're going to pay me for it and everything. And I'm like, "Yeah, sign me up." So that was the moment. The moment I got that job, I knew that I had found where I fit. I loved every moment of every day, and I knew I had found my calling. And old people kind of responded to me. Mm-hmm. But so I moved every single resident into that building in 3 years and filled it, and then moved on. So anyway, that's my story. I was a family first who took the journey, so I know how it felt, and never wanted anybody again.
People needed help.
Yeah.
Okay. What inspired you to start a senior placement referral agency?
Yeah, good question.
I want to know that.
So while working in senior housing, mm-hmm. At Summerfield House in assisted living, there were a lot of people that showed up or called me who needed something just like I did, but didn't know what we were or couldn't afford what we were. And once I got them on the phone or got them in the building, I was like, and that was always frustrating in my role there to fill this building, was to turn people away. And I didn't want to give them a directory that was this thick, because I believe people should help people. And, right? That's what a community is built on. And so I started slowly educating myself better about what else existed. So I started signing up for every coalition, committee. The city would start something new, and I would say, "Pick me, I'll do it." Even within our building, I started doing that. Like, I don't know about that part of the job, but teach me. Yeah. So in doing that, I just started collecting, a binder of resources that I knew that could help people. So even if they wandered in and they didn't need what we had, I could give them a person who could help them go find that or figure out that. And so what happened was the vice president of marketing of that corporation left the year before I did and started A Place for Mom. Wow. It was a startup back then. So a year after she started A Place for Mom, she came back and plucked me and said, "We want you to be one of our advisors." And at the time, you're going to laugh at this, I'm going to laugh at this, there were eight advisors across the whole country managing. So I had probably, besides my little community of Vacaville, I had 12 states that I took care of. 12 states. Probably 200 leads a day. Yeah.
So did you have to travel to go, or how did that work?
No, we were lucky. First of all, I was lucky that I was already doing community work, so I kind of knew how it worked in my community, and you discover that even across the country, it's similar in every community. Yeah. So, they had a lot of tools that helped us create ways for families to believe we were in, Topeka, Kansas, or wherever we were helping families, but I wasn't. Okay. But in any case, that experience, so, that's how I started, was they were a nationwide referral agency, but I had girlfriends who were in agencies in California, so I knew what that looked like. Eventually, I went on to do nationwide training for them, and then I was traveling. So their home base was in Seattle. And I was there a week of every month. Even though I had a family and a community here, I was traveling to Seattle and training a new crop of advisors for them every month. until I just got tired of being a road dog and wanted to come back. I felt very disconnected from my own community. I had replaced myself here at that point and hired another advisor to take over, and eventually a couple advisors. And so I went and did that. When I was done traveling, and I could see that they were heading off in a different direction. They were starting to expand so big that it really was no longer about community-based support. And so our visions kind of diverged at that point, and I hatched a plan in my head that I was going to come home and start my own agency, and that's exactly what I did.
That's amazing.
So I came back home, started helping hands at that juncture, and I've never looked back. And now I'm 28 years into my career, and I've now helped probably 17,000 families in my tenure, which I'm super proud of.
Yeah,
And super proud of that.
What areas do you cover?
Primarily, my sphere of influence is Solano County. But my network is pretty, I go into Yolo County. I certainly go into Napa County as necessary. Yeah. But the beautiful thing about being in the business so long is that I found other people who are like-minded, who have the same moral compass, and I have a call to service, and so I want to work with like-minded people. And so I have found people in Sacramento, in Contra Costa, in Marin, in Alameda, in Southern California, in Fresno, all over the place, who are like me, who will love up families the way I love up families. So we share those cases. So if I get a case it's very common that I meet somebody here whose mom lives in Sac, or I meet somebody whose mom lives in Fresno or Bakersfield, and to be able to connect them and give them a soft handoff to a person like me who I know is going to make sure they have a good outcome and stay with them throughout their process the best. So this is my sphere of influence, Solano County, but I'll take all comers. So
You can help.
I'll help anywhere. Happy to do it.
Many families feel overwhelmed when looking for senior living options. What are some of the biggest challenges you see that they face?
Yeah, and of course that changes over time, but currently I still think the biggest challenge we're facing is that affordability. Everything, the cost of healthcare has gone up, and wages have not,
hard.
we're a mess in this country, and sadly wages have not kept up with the cost of the rising healthcare costs. So that's a big challenge. So we've had to become, more collaborative. Our community, our senior care community had become more collaborative and more inventive in finding ways to help families. Now, things are starting to move on the legislative, level to make things start open, and things that should have happened years ago. Listen, I've been on the forefront of trying to get assisted living waiver to come to our county. I remember sitting on that very first committee, and it's been a long time coming. But so lots of things are changing, but still it continues to be a very financially strapped. It's very hard for families to afford the cost of care, but we're very fortunate in Solano County that we're near a base.
Yeah.
We're a very veteran-rich county. That was a program, the aid and attendance and those kinds of programs were things that, I would sit on other committees, Armed Forces Committee and things of that, to find other avenues to help families pay for care. And that was one of the specialties that I became a VA specialist before there was, people that did that.
Yeah,
So anyway.
when they would call me at Solano Life House, I would send them to you because I'm like, call her, she knows.
Yeah.
Question: are you familiar with Master Care and Partnership right now?
Not Master Care.
Not Master Care, but what about Partnership?
Yeah, I remember when Partnership was born. The original. Anyway, it was one of our dear friends who started Partnership with some of his buddies, and so I've been around a long time. So. Long time.
Cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's I'm ancient. That's why. But yes, I would like to know more. Do you have a connection for that? I want to know more about that.
So they just started. I just heard it just started in July. Master Care and Partnership. They actually did a
Master
contract.
Care? I don't even know what that is.
Do you know what is? It's. I guess it's like kind of an insurance that is for like the county.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's like a county-based insurance.
It's an arm of Partnership.
It's an arm.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
So I wanted to know because I know that people are talking about it and people are trying to use it. So I'm like,
Oh.
Melanie's going to know.
I don't know about
Oh, you're
master
gonna have to
care,
tell
but
me,
there are
girl.
some other things out on the horizon that we'll have
Yeah?
to
Yes.
talk with our share group. We'll have to talk about that.
How do you help families determine whether a senior should remain at home or move into an assisted living or memory care?
Yeah, good question. I'll tell you, sometimes it takes an advocate like us to go into a situation, fly up to 30,000 feet, and objectively look down to be able to say, all right, this is what the state of the state is, and decide whether, because here's the truth, home is always the best option.
Absolutely.
As long as it's safe to do so and sustainable and they can afford that, that's always the best option. But the reality is that usually isn't sustainable financially. And sometimes, especially in the cases of my dementia cases, it may not be the best in the long run, because the longer we let somebody who's got a cognitive decline go quiet, they get quieter and quieter, because this is a muscle just like any other muscle, and it needs to be challenged and moved in a new and different way every day in order to stave off the quick advancement of their process. So sometimes, home isn't the best option for them. So to answer your question, it takes us, I'm 28 years in. I can now go into a situation and realize where the landmines are, how to shore things up. And so, in most cases, we can shore things up with home care and some other tools like respite and daycare that can sustain somebody in their home a longer period of time. It's when that their primary caregivers are so now fatigued and can't handle it, or it becomes a financial
exhausting for
burden.
them.
Yeah, here's a real statistic. I have more health events, right? I'm 17,000 cases in. I'm qualified to tell you this. I have more health events with my primary caregivers than I do their unwell loved ones. That's a real statistic. I put more of my adult daughters and my spouses in the hospital for a stress-related illness than I do their dementia or their frail elderly loved ones. So it's a real statistic. So to answer your question, it takes getting in there and understanding all of the facets of their story and their budget and where everybody lives and the geography of that, to be able to really understand what plan A is going to look like while creating a plan B and a plan C. You need a case of emergency break glass plan. Every family should have that. So
that's important.
yeah, so really that comes down to, a lot of times it's related to budget as to which direction we can head, and then that that in itself creates its own path. So it takes an advisor like us to move in and kind of get the lay of the land.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so when touring a community like Magnolia Court, like my community, what is it that you would recommend families look for in a community, or questions they should ask?
Yeah. So what I tell them when they're going to visit is keep their head up on a swivel. The big thing for me, at least, and it was, Tasha, you can relate to this. This is what I would indoctrinate my staff too. When when a family member comes in to tour and you pass a staff member in the hall, do they look up? Do they engage with you? Are they looking to be invisible? Are they smiling? Right. I also tell families, pay attention to how the staff interacts with residents when they don't know who you are and they don't know you're looking. Pay attention to the interactions. One of the biggest things I say is go at mealtime, because then you get to see the breadth of kind of people that live there, and it's really easy to go, that looks like my dad, that guy's like my mom, that lady's like my mom. That in itself is very helpful. See the type of residents who live there, pay attention to that. The other thing is, I say, ask to stay for a meal. Because the food, listen, residents move into a place like this and they come from all walks of life. They've all made potatoes different and meat different, and and you could tell a lot about a community by, first of all, the food better be good. They do it 3 times a day. About what kind of interactions are happening, and then of course that helps, but also talk to the residents. As you're going through, say hello to Barbara in the lobby. She's probably a lobby sitter. She probably knows everything about that building.
The lobby loungers know everything.
Right. I also tell them to ask to speak with the executive director, meet the executive director, because the speed of the leaders determine the pace of a pack. If you have good leaders, then your pack is gonna, they're gonna work really hard to please their leaders, and so ask to meet those people, the care coordinator, the administrator, ask. So those are the big things, that I say, and make sure it's clean, the obvious stuff. Yeah, make sure it's clean, but yeah, ask around.
Okay.
Those residents will tell you.
So, can you share a success story with us, or a family story that sticks
I have
out?
so many. I thought about this question. I'm really lucky to say, I've had many more success stories than not. So, there are a million of them, so I don't have any one specific. But I'll tell you, I am of an age where I could have shuffled off to Buffalo. Definitely. And a lot of my friends have, what do you call me, old? Well, it sounds like you're calling me old. But but a lot of my friends have shuffled off to Buffalo.
No, you
I know, I'm just teasing.
Part of, stuff.
Quit while you're behind, Tasha. Quit while you're behind. So to answer that, every single day I get to bound into work, and somebody in the work that I do calls me an angel or is so grateful, even for just the smallest amount of time. I do placement. I am a placement agency. However, I set myself up long ago to be a resource agency. We want to take all comers. So many of the cases I work on are not folks that are going to move to assisted living. They are folks who just need somebody to hear their story and feel their pain and give them 15 minutes of time and then direction. Answer a question about Medi-Cal or Medicare or VA, or point them in a direction for this, that, or the other. They may not need ongoing care management, which is our thing. But I'll tell you what, those people are so grateful for just that small amount of humanity. I will never quit doing this job for that reason, because every day I make a difference in my own community. People are so very grateful. It's the greatest cycle of energy. How great is that? Every day I get to solve somebody's pain. They're so happy for it. Am I getting rich? No, but it sure it heals my soul from the inside out, way better than any construction job I ever did. So that's why every story, it has a good outcome, because we aren't going to let anybody go without having a good outcome.
And I agree. Just by listening to them on the phone. And
they'll come back. And they'll come back.
That's exactly what this. It is a cycle of energy. They go out into the community and hit up Facebook pages, and they send other people to us, and we're grateful for that.
Yeah,
so
that works.
Can't help everybody, but we sure try.
We definitely try.
Yeah.
And knowing more people in the industry helps
Well,
us
you're
help
very
more,
known.
Yeah, it's collaborative, right? The only reason I'm known is because I've been here, like Cher and cockroaches. I just won't go away. but right, it's become Solano County's. Let me tell you, ladies, Solano County has always functioned like a big city, even though we are, multiple cities in a county. This county is very unique, and I've worked all over the country, including Sacramento, locally. This is a very unique place. I have never seen such collaboration and the spirit at which all of you come together to support each other and to support families here. I feel very lucky to be included in your collaborative group, and so thank you for that.
I agree.
For keeping the torch, lit, and we here we all need to start stepping up, though. We used to have things here like Commission on Aging and Senior Roundtable. We used to I was a big part of Senior Health Summit and Celebrate Seniors and Tribute to Seniors, and we did lots of things that were very specific to the populace, and the city doesn't do it anymore. And I'm here to tell you that, especially because of your youth and enthusiasm, now's the time.
She called us young.
I've talked to some others who are ready to, fire up some of those old war horses and, inspire the city. When I say inspire, I mean bully the city to step back into this arena and help more people. So anyway.
Well, that kind of segues into the next thing I was going to ask you. It's like, how has the industry changed in 28 years that you've been doing this?
I'll tell you, mostly good. I mean, sadly, okay, this is how old I am. You used to be able to get a shared room in a licensed care home for $1,800.
Oh yeah,
Gosh.
All day long. A private room for $2,500.
Like
assisted living.
rates?
Yes.
Oh my.
Assisted living
right now.
at Summerfield House at your place at Magnolia. Our starting rate was $1,995 for base rent. Levels of care were like $150, $250. Yeah. So do the math now, right? So, those days are long gone. So that's how long I've been in. But the best thing about is that we've come up with more ways to be creative. And, thank goodness the VA continues to be a support with home-based primary care and, home health. Helping with those programs. CalAIM has now come on to, it's going to replace waiver. So Medi-Cal will be more supportive in more environments, which we'll have to talk about.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So, there have been many, technology too. Look at technology, what you guys are doing with podcasts like this and vlogs and your digital newsletters. And that in itself, it just helps your whole community. It helps families feel more involved in the process, earlier in the process, which is really the key to success when you're helping somebody in your life who's older and starting to have change. So, no, there's been great bounds have been made, in helping families and more options and, but the cost still continues to be a factor. We still have to get over that.
Still gross.
Yeah.
It's always the number one.
Yeah.
It's always the
Sadly.
first question.
Sadly.
Should be anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, so what advice would you give adult children, spouses, friends, family friends, cousins, aunts, uncles that are just starting the process with their aging senior?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I would say is start early. Now listen, I know senior care isn't always sexy, right? And so people don't go looking because they're bored. They wait till the last possible minute, and then suddenly they're in crisis, and then they're trying to educate themselves and make decisions in a crisis, which we know is never good. So the biggest advice I could give to families is start early. Find a navigator like us or another navigator, somebody like us who can sit down with you before you need it to explain what the continuum looks like, what it costs, what pays for what, how to engage those pensions and benefits that can help. But find out early before you're in the middle of a mess. Even if you educate yourself and we create a plan and you put it in a drawer and then you stay actively connected to an agency like ours who's going to continue to follow up with you, start early. There's no crime in starting early. Yeah, it ain't sexy, but guess what? You're going to be ahead of the curve when it comes to having to make a decision because we don't want you spinning it. We don't want you in the parking lot like me, spinning in a circle, feeling helpless and hopeless. We want you to feel empowered and uplifted. That's what people forget. People don't know what they don't know, right? And so once they take the journey, they go, it opened my eyes. I had no idea this existed. I can't wait. How many people tell you this, Tasha? I can't wait to move to assisted living. I'm like, I just said this to you recently. Why don't we have communal living like this for 20 and 30-year-olds, right? Who have, an assisted living, so to speak, where meals, housekeeping, laundry, maintenance, utilities, and transportation if they need
take
it.
You to the casino,
right, come on.
What?
Yeah, so again, start early. It isn't sexy, but it'll be very effective, and that you'll head off the having to be spinning in a circle, feeling helpless and hopeless, which we don't want that for you.
Here. I love that.
Yeah.
That's something that I tell every single tour is they come in and they're like, oh, we're probably too early for this, or, it's still wise off. I think, and I'm like, no.
In my mind, I think
never too early.
in my mind, I think if you're here,
there's a change.
Yeah.
Something happened. So it's okay. And
It's a lot. So yes.
It is a lot too.
So what is the process? So let's say I was looking for my mom and I called you.
Mm-hmm.
What things would you ask and what would I expect?
So a lot of the clients that call me will do a phone, basically just a long phone intake. The goal, though, would be for me to get in the room with their Gladys and and their Harold, and to be able to, because we see stuff that they don't see. And here's what I've learned from all these years of being in the business. Sometimes people become very complacent with a bad situation because they're in it, right? Yeah. They're in the middle of the muck. They don't know they're in the middle of the muck. But sometimes it takes somebody like us who's seen it all to get in the room and go, golly, this isn't good. And they go, really? And I go, yeah, this is bad. This is all bad. And they go, because they don't know how bad it is. So, the process starts with that. So a conversation, it starts with simply a conversation to make a connection. Ultimately, we would then want to meet the Gladys or the Harold and see the dynamic to better understand what they're dealing with, which leads us to the rest of it. A health assessment, a financial assessment, find out where all the players live, all the people that are going to be involved in a care plan. We need to know where they live and where they come at it. Everybody in a family, depending on the pecking order, comes at it from a different vantage point. It's our job to kind of understand all of that. Before we give them resources, before I give you options, I need to understand your situation from top to bottom so that I don't waste your time giving you hope about something that is never going to be an option for you, or, giving you an option that isn't going to be for you, like us going into an independent living when we needed a memory care. That was never going to be. Loved it, but it wasted our time, right? So that's the process.
Is it free for the family to contact you?
Yes. Well, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Lots of people. My husband used to love to tell people that we were a big fat nonprofit, and I'd say, Mark, stop telling people that, because we are a for-profit. But shh. So it is a free service to families. I've never charged for the services that we provide. It's always free. And that's because we're very fortunate. A small percentage of the cases I work on, because we, unlike placement agencies that are traditional placement agencies, we do ongoing care management for, we have probably a 300 or 400 caseload open at all times for families that are in touch with us, that we continue to follow up with routinely to make sure their train stays on the tracks. And if they need a new tool or something's changed since our last follow-up, that we help them get that to keep things, continuity of care. So what was I going to say? So eventually they might need an out-of-home option. And when that happens, we're very lucky that we're contracted with some of the communities in the area that we've handpicked, who pay us a small fee if we've referred a family to them. That is only now. It used to be 50-50. 50% of my cases were that way, and 50% were cases who are, they're Medi-Cal folks who just need guidance and love and a voice to hear them, a soft place to rest. But now that ratio has, because of the cost of care, has become more 80-20. 80% of my caseload is not compensatable. 20% of my caseload is. So that's why I need my partners to remember that we're the only agency that probably does ongoing care management. We like cases
so we all
early.
Work together.
Yeah, I like catching cases early. We oftentimes, because I've been here for so long, we get cases that are very early in the process. A Gladys who lives at home, who needs a yard person or a ride to church on Sundays.
Oh, I love your updates.
And that's
You're awesome. You're so awesome.
But that's how they start with this. So we carry cases for a very long period of time. I mean, I just encountered a case that I started in 2009 who is still on my caseload now.
I think you emailed me, and I looked, back in our database, and it was like 1,023 days since you first referred them.
And that's really how I'm different, and that's why we love cases early, because those are Gladyses are going to stay at home and we're going to help them stay at home. If that's their goal, then that's my goal. But eventually, sometimes they need something different. But anyway, that's the deal. I mean, that's the continuum. The process is.
I think that's good that that it's free.
Uh-huh.
How could someone get a hold of you?
Yeah. Easy to find now. First of all, most people, I'm a loud voice in the room, so most people know how to get me. My office is, I have an office down at the a 2-story office building right by the ranch.
Okay.
At 190 South Orchard. We're upstairs in Suite C230. I had an office out on Kendall Street near the Senior Center for many, many years until COVID hit and wiped out foot traffic. But so that's one way to get us. You can come to the office anytime. My number is a 24-hour number. So my 707-451-8724 is our main number. It is a mobile number, so you can get me at that number. You can text me. You can call me. My email is melanie@helpinghandsseniorresources.com, and we have a beautiful website. You can also reach us there and leave a message, and someone will get back to you pretty quick. So lots of ways. You can set up smoke signals. You can.
You're gonna find them.
You just let us know. You can. I'm serious. Yeah.
Ask for Melanie Richardson's number, and they're gonna give it to you.
You're very sweet, but
When you moved, I already knew she was across. I was like, Melanie's over there now.
Yeah. So.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
No.
It really is a pleasure. You guys give me, you put wind in my sails because, I was you. I was you 25 years ago, my belly full of vim and vigor and, sign me up, Mary. I mean, how many jobs you got now? Seriously. You're inspiring a whole new generation of us. And I'm proud of your journey.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you need that from me, but I'm telling you, Mama Mel says, way to go. Proud of you guys for what you're doing.
I've known you for a very long
That's
time.
right. Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Yeah,
it means a lot.
Thank both of you so much for having me.
Thank you. I know that my family members, when they come from you, everything is easier, smoother, happier.
Yeah, and if there's a problem, you let me know. I'll deal with it.
Yes,
That's what I
yes.
tell them too. If you have a problem, call me.
Don't go out, because you're mad at somebody and start looking somewhere
work
else.
it
Call
out.
me. Call me and let me know what's happening so I can get in the room.
You just gave me a little spidey sense tingles just a minute ago.
Anyway, thank you guys
Well,
for having
thank
me. I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.